Libra, this is your tarot reading for the month of May, coming from the mountains of Java. May's a time of great change, I think, for all of us. And how we respond to these changes determines our future trajectory. I have to say, my initial reaction is your future trajectory doesn't look great. Having said that, at a time of change like this, there are immediate winners and losers. But I think things do tend to work out over the even longer term. You're certainly attempting, and maybe herein lies a part of the problem, you're attempting to manifest. Maybe, and why I say it could be a part of the problem, you're attempting to control things a little bit too much. In the past, you had you were action planning, more than just planning. You were looking at the possibilities and thinking, how do I turn these into actionable things? So again, is that being a little bit controlling, or is that only natural? Right now, you're the King of Cups, the King of Love. So you should have command of your emotions and understand others, and that's a very positive sign, I'd say. I suppose the thing that upsets me the most about this reading is in the future we have the Ten of Swords. Betrayed, stabbed in the back, bringing an abrupt end into things. That was the alarm bell, I suppose, to me. What leads to the outcome is you have a difficult decision to make. You're stymied. Both options seem equally plausible to you. I wonder if you even take that decision. We'll come to the outcome in a minute, but the outcome might suggest you don't even take it. What would change the outcome is love. I often associate this with a new love, but it might not be. But we do have the King of Cups, the King of Love. So maybe there is love here. And if you focus on love, then you change the outcome. Now that makes absolute sense, because the outcome is fear. Fear of the unknown. So that's why I say maybe you don't take the decision because you're fearful of taking it. But then in the future, it leads to betrayal and being stabbed in the back. We need to get into this, don't we, Libra? Now, the energy that runs throughout this is that of the Magician. It suggests to me you're manifesting. And I've just got a feeling that even though for most signs manifesting is what you should be doing right now, that somehow it's the wrong thing for you, Libra. And I think it's because you're trying to exert too much control over very uncertain situations. I think that's what's behind it. I don't want to tell you that it's wrong to manifest. It's not wrong to dream. In fact, that's how we co-create. That's how we create a new universe, something better. But sometimes it can involve a little bit too much control. And I think that's what's going on with you. I don't know why exactly I've got that feeling. Do you know, maybe it is because I feel that your desire for control is based on an unresolved shadow. In other words, you want to control because you're fearful. It's not control out of love. Despite you understanding love, while you still have this darkness within, then the control will be a dark control. other energy that does suggest to me control, even though neither the manifesting nor this, which is action planning, are pointing the finger at you being overly controlling. I've just got that feeling that you're attempting to control that which you cannot. These are times of great change, and some things we just have to submit. What you're doing is you're planning something very radical. And I think that's exactly the right thing to be doing. But I think you haven't truly grasped the nature of this change. And therefore, you're sort of pushing it a little bit too far. As I say, there's nothing wrong with action planning. There's nothing wrong with wanting to plan, particularly if you've taken it forward in terms of how do I put this into action. But, as I keep saying, I've got this feeling that you haven't absolutely grasped what the real direction is. Your current energy, I believe, to be very positive, the King of Cups. Heart is full of love, understand your emotions and have control of them. Understand the emotions of others. So a very powerful king, a very powerful way to be. Not quite like the knight, but he can be something of a fool for love. Generally speaking, his understanding of others is such that that doesn't happen, but it can happen. I wonder if you're opening yourself up a bit too much. So a little bit too open and a little bit too controlling. Because there are things on the horizon that I'm not happy about. And this is the energy that I'm not happy about on the horizon in the future. And that is a betrayal, stabbing in the back, having a rug pulled from under your feet, almost certainly a bitter ending. So a bitter ending, maybe it's a bitter ending to those plans. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Maybe it's a bitter ending from somebody you trusted and loved. Because I did say maybe you could be a bit of a fool for love. We don't know at this stage. We don't know at all what it is. But I've got a very distinct feeling that your own pessimism and fear are partially behind this. Remember I talked about your unresolved Jungian shadow. Do you know, I think that's it. I think I'm hitting on what the issue is. I'm not saying you're wishing for this betrayal, but the universe interprets your pessimism as you wishing for it. Now, what leads to the outcome is an important decision that you should make. I'm not certain you make it. I think you're stymied. You're stymied partially because both options seem equally good, or I think in your case seem equally bad. There's an underlying pessimism that is coming out in this spread. And I think that's what's behind this. You're pessimistic. You don't want to take either option. To a certain degree, you don't have the full information. And if you remember when I was talking about you manifesting, but not really having the information to manifest properly. The same about your action planning. You don't really have the information. And unfortunately, often that information isn't there. But you are being driven more by fear than optimism. I'm certain I've got this right, you know. Now, what is the opposite of fear? You might say it's bravery, but that's really just conquering your fear, isn't it? You know, that's addressing your fear. You might say it's contented, and I think that's quite valid. Contentedness overcomes fear. But I'd also suggest to you that love is another alternative. Now, normally I'd associate this energy with a new love. And maybe there is, you know, you've got the King of Cups, which does suggest your heart is full of love, and that will attract a new love. And maybe it does. Or maybe we're just talking here of love in general. But love will take your mind off your pessimism and fear. And in doing so, I think it'll create better outcomes for you. And therefore will change this outcome, which I think is unfortunate. Now you see this decision, but I don't think it is a decision that you take. I think you're completely stymied, but it doesn't matter whether you take the decision or not. It leads to a massive fear of the unknown. Now, you know, you will hear other tarot readers and certainly sort of self-appointed self-help gurus saying that we must embrace fear. We have nothing to fear but fear itself, and all of which is 100% true, but easy to say glibly, isn't it? We're all frightened of change. We must embrace it. But we're all frightened of change. But a bit like me saying, what's the opposite of fear? Is it bravery? No, it isn't. Bravery is a reaction to fear. It's us overcoming fear. It's not the opposite of fear. So, what are you fearful of? Well, it is the unknown. But you being fearful does lead to this betrayal. And I think that's simply the universe reflecting back to you what it thinks you want because of your expressing fear. I'm going to get some clarity though. I don't know. Now, I could seek clarity on the betrayal, but I think it's the fear that leads to the betrayal. So what's the fear about? First card, Four of Cups, pessimism. Next card is strength. Is all this happening because you're strong enough to deal with it? And you're learning an important lesson. Many people are at this moment in time. Final card is the Three of Cups. Celebration with family and friends. Let's look at each individually. Now, the first energy is the Four of Cups. Taking yourself off and quietly contemplating things. No bad thing to do. You're doing it because you're aware of major changes going on. But unfortunately, Your natural response is a glass half empty rather than a glass half full. So you're taking a pessimistic view of change. Very easy to do. I don't want to put you down for it. But we all must learn to allow our worries and doubts to be fleeting and allow more positive views to dominate our thoughts. That's all I'll say for now. You know, I said to you before, what is the opposite of fear? And it's not bravery. The other thing that it's certainly not is strength. And I believe you are strong. And because you're strong, the universe is teaching you a lesson. A lesson on how to control your vibrations. These are difficult times. All signs are going through difficulties, but some are coming out very well. And you, Libra, less so. And it's because you're taking this pessimistic, fearful attitude towards change. But you're strong enough to deal with this. And that's why this isn't a terrible reading. It's a lesson to be learned. And once you've learnt it, you'll move on. But the universe knows you're strong enough to deal with it. And what do you have to be strong enough to deal with? Well, I think you have to be strong enough to deal with betrayal by someone that's quite close to you. Could be family, could be friend, could be a loved one. But that future betrayal, I think, is coming from someone very close to you. And you know, the universe right now is exposing all these things to us so that we can move on and lead our lives free of the nastiness of deception, the nastiness of untruthfulness, the nastiness of people who betray us. So I think the universe is pointing this out to you. And we can summarise now. Libra, all signs are going through enormous changes at the moment. You're very aware of it. What I would say to you is that how we deal with these changes will shape our future trajectory. And in the sort of medium term, things don't go well for you. And it is, I believe, for two reasons. Well, I suppose it's all one reason. You've got an unresolved shadow and there's a lot of fear there. Fear and also pessimism. And you're probably shouting at me now, going, if you'd been through what I've been through, you would be pessimistic, you would be fearful. Well, this is a lesson from the universe to say to you, the more fearful and pessimistic you are, the more reasons to be the universe is going to give you. You're also a little bit controlling. And I think you're aware of these things. And as a result, you're somewhat open. You're somewhat too open. And invite people in, particularly love. Now, if you could find a good love and focus on that, I think things would be a lot better. No, I think you're very controlling. You have an important decision to make, and I don't think you take it. I think you're stymied. And that leads to fear of the unknown. I mean, I'm sure fear of the unknown leads to you being stymied, but, you know, not taking the decision also leads to this great fear, which ultimately leads to betrayal, being stabbed in the back by someone who I think is very close to you, maybe even someone you love. But all this is being done to teach you a lesson, to teach you that you should react to all these things by raising your vibration, not distrusting others, not putting the blame, raising your vibration, seeing things through rose-tinted spectacles, if you like. Because if you do, the universe will observe this and send you back things that are tinted in the colour of rose. It really is that simple, and yet it's something that few of us can grasp.